Producer Andrew May and company director Paul Mitzi have been chatting to business owners, offering them coffee or Corona, and rolling the cameras. This time they meet Richard Cornish, foodie, television producer, author, and weekly newspaper columnist with the very popular Brain Food.
Hey! Hello. These two lucky lads.
Hey, Richard, how are you?
Coffee or Corona?
I'll have a cup of tea.
That's not in the script.
Bugger it.
So, Richard, your life story in 5 seconds.
5 seconds. Farm boy, overseas, FM radio, television, food, family.
Wow, that's amazing.
I've never met a food writer before, but I actually grew up being a food critic.
Yes.
You haven't tasted my mum's food. The Maltese were never known for their cuisine, and we grew up on a diet of overboiled vegetables.
But you guys had the Mediterranean at your doorstep. You had fish, you had the Greeks, Phoenicians, you had the Spanish, English, Italians. You were like the melting pot of Europe.
Yeah, it all melted there, but nothing ever worked.
Well, you know, Richard and I met years ago.
We and Bob both were working at Fox FM. He was making some really good comedy, like seriously good stuff.
You used to go on air and do funny stuff there.
Lots of South African accents, if I remember.
And you used to make fun of Dennis Walter.
Dennis Walter, the man whose balls drop every night of the week.
I went off, did television. You did television as
I
well.
used to bump into this guy on the set of Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Okay.
God, that was so much fun.
You were in production at Channel 9?
Yeah, I got seconded out from the floor into working with a guy called Glenn Ridge from Sale of the Century.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I was working on a show at the same time where we did parodies of Glenn Ridge, and Eric Banner used to go, okay.
Okay.
Glenn Ridge is one of the most decent human beings that you'll ever meet. And I now got a chance to work with him again, working on a car show.
Now, your car show, it's called Garage 41.
Garage 41. I've got the opportunity now as a producer to actually say, Glenn, let's get rid of all that Sale of the Century stuff. Let's actually be Glenn. And you actually get to see him on camera having fun.
Yeah.
It's
And
really good.
Cars brings out passion in people as well.
Yeah. We're shooting at Dutton's in Richmond in Victoria, and they've got millions of dollars worth of old cars in there. I don't know F about them, but as soon as we get a guy called David Morley up, I think we get some vision of that. We've got some vision of that here.
Yep.
So this car is just as fast around any racetrack you care to name as the coupe version, and anything that retains your ability to scare the crap out of your passengers has got to be positive.
Okay.
But you can see when someone is passionate about something, you can listen to them for hours on end.
Yeah, well, I'm involved in a couple of car clubs.
Yes.
Because I've got a few collector cars.
Yes. What have you got?
I've got a 1971 Corvette.
What
Stingray.
colour? What
Gold.
He's Australia's version of Jay Leno. He's got the chin. With that stuff, you're not necessarily into cars, but you listen to their stories and you know how to put them together into a nice package and something that people will enjoy.
Talking about stories, something you haven't touched upon is the food writing, which
Yes.
which I have made a career out of. I saw the demise of television. I was working on the great stuff, the great live television days, and I saw all this programming coming on, reality programming, and I went, oh no, I cannot work for that. I cannot do that. I went, what can I do? I like food. I grew up on a farm. I know how to grow corn. I know how to milk cows. And so I read the entire canon on food, read Larousse, read all the dictionaries, read all the material, ate my way around Australia, ate my way around Europe. But what always attracted to me was the storytelling. I got a chance to work with Frank Camorra from the Movida Group.
Yeah.
We got to go to the south of Spain. We spent 5 weeks in a small BMW with 4 large men driving around chasing nuns to try and find their story. And that's
So you don't have that on camera?
No, we should have had that on camera. 4 large men in a small BMW.
And a couple of nuns. It sounds like Robbie Coltrane, one nuns on the run.
Well, the thing was, we're trying to find these nuns to get the story about these little sweet biscuits that they made. Almond pastries made with almond sugar and pig fat, funnily enough. And we were knocking on the door.
Big in the Jewish market.
Big in the Jewish market. There's another story there. And we knocked on the door and we sat down. We got taken to this little room, and it was like going to see if any of you have had friends who have been in Pentridge or in Port Phillip Prison. You have to go through relative. Yeah. There are these thick wrought iron bars. Those bars are protected, those nuns, from us men. Next thing you know, they are talking about their pastries and how they are at one with God when they make these pastries. Their faces light up. You've never seen 3 women committed to God being so enthusiastic, and I'm going to say erotic, about the way they're talking about their...
What do they do when they cook a zucchini?
What comes first, the storytelling or the knowledge of food?
So someone can tell you a story and it means nothing to you. If you don't have the context and the knowledge behind it, it'll fall through the cracks. You might be told the most amazing story about a car, but unless you know the context of the car, you just showed me a photograph of your Lincoln Continental. I said, that looks like a presidential car. And I said, what car did JFK get shot in? And you said,
A Lincoln Continental.
okay, I see. If I'd seen that car, known that JFK was assassinated whilst riding in that car, seeing that image would have been made so much more sense to me.
That's the story.
Yeah.
Just getting back to food for a second, right? Do you think that food has gotten way too complicated from what you see on all these cooking shows? You know, I've got a 25-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son, and they eat food totally different to the way I would have eaten it. They look at it, they critique it, they comment on it, and I'm just sitting there thinking, just fucking eat it.
To me, the food should always be the vector to bring people together. There's something about food and about the really yummy tasting food that makes you really content. When you get food that's
Steamed dim sim.
Steamed dim sim, yeah.
You cannot go. I've actually.
You're talking to a food writer here.
I love steamed dim sims.
Why did you get back to the title Brain Food? Because I like the title.
Brain Food is the column I write each week for the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. And it started out one afternoon drinking red wine and Young and Jackson's with the then editor of the Good Food section. And she and I just kept on drinking, worked out that we needed something that engaged people, both in hardcore information, background as a comedy writer, but also research as well, storytelling.
Yeah, you've got stuff like what's the best temperature for this, how do you make a perfect roast chook, you've done that.
Yeah, how to make a perfect roast chook. If you want to do a good roast chook, get a chook. I don't even bother stuffing it. Do not truss a chook, because if you truss a chook, you bring the legs across the body, and that's going to stop the heat getting inside the animal. So just let them relax, because that way the heat can get in. Oil them up, grease them up like a Frank Thring party, and then
Bring me a chook. Make sure it's plucked.
and then a fair bit of salt, and then high temperature, about 220, 240 for about 15 minutes until you get a bit of browning. Then I whack it down to about 100. Take it out, hour and a half later. Put it to one side and just let the whole thing rest a bit. But if you've got a few people coming round, stuffing, so you can feed one more person.
Yeah, it's what
I come from a big family.
COVID is getting businesses a little bit more entrepreneurial as well. We went to a restaurant that was obviously shut down, so we had to get takeaway coffee, but they had a little organic market set up where they were selling fresh produce from market gardeners, right? And the chef was there advising on the best way to cook it, which I thought was a great initiative.
Yeah, well, I think the reason we're sitting down here is because, you know, Andrew, you're a storyteller and you're a filmmaker. You need to do something. You need to show people what you do.
Yeah.
This product here is a pivot in itself.
But also, it's good to tell these stories now as a positive thing. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's right.
But also it shows the creativity, because if you're stuck at present with change being the constant, if you're constantly thinking in one direction and seeing yourself as only as having one shell of one persona, you're not going to survive this.
Richard, what have you done in this time to pivot what you do? Because you're a pivot, you're a professional pivoter. You've pivoted, we both pivot all the time.
I have a column with The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald each week, and then I've got some corporate clients for whom I work, and then tomorrow I'm going to do this more of the same, and the day after that I'll be chopping down trees down the country, because I'm working as a farm labourer. I called my brother and I said, I want work. And I just said that out aloud, and he said, well, come and work for me. He's an agricultural contractor. He puts in vineyards, he puts in fencing. So I started working with him, and that was about 20 kilograms ago. You know, I think I'm big now. You know, I was Orson Welles capacity before I started work with him. You've never seen a white man sweat so much.
And,
you know,
and have you...
Well, I have, Ron Jeremy.
Next time, we talk about the future of restaurants,
it's carnage.
those pesky multinational food delivery
And
services,
it's been made to sit in a box for half an hour.
and Paul's mum's mushy
You
peas.
could hide it into a lasagna sauce. Anyway.
Drop us a line. coffee@maysproductions.com.au